Hi, I'm Thomas with Believe in the Run. I'm here with Chad. Chad, what's your title at Saucony?
I'm a product line manager.
It's not Super Stash Man?
It could be.
I mean, it's the best mustache in the business. It puts Robbe's to shame. That's why Robbe's not starting off the video. We didn't want to throw you into shock. So Robbe will come in for the trail stuff, but we'll get started on some of the road stuff. And one of the most popular shoes from Saucony is the Triumph. Can you tell us a little bit about this shoe?
Yeah, the Triumph is our high mileage neutral cushion shoe. It's one that sits in our premium classification. It's incredibly plush, incredibly comfortable, and we wanted to continue to elevate it, to bring newness and updates, but also keep it consistent for the consumer.
All right, cool. Speaking of consistent, it looks like the midsole and the outsole setup is pretty much the same as the current version.
Yeah, so the midsole and outsole are going to stay the same. The outsole features our XT900 rubber, which is super durable. I think Laura Thweet has actually put like 800 miles on a pair of shoes, something ridiculous like that. The midsole features our Power Run Plus material, which is really compliant, incredibly lightweight, super energy efficient, really resilient, just an awesome ride.
Awesome. And if you've ever listened to our podcast, you might know Laura Thweet from that. I can't even say Thweet. And it tells a great story about post-New York Marathon. You got to check it out. It involves drinking and some trash cans. So that's all I'll say. Okay, so the midsole and the outsole are pretty much the same. It's the upper that's been dialed in. What are some of the changes we're going to see in the upper?
Yeah, so we always like to take one extra crack at design, one extra crack at fit, feel. And with this consumer, we know that we're trying to deliver just an exceptional first touch experience. So we took our previous engineered spacer mesh that we used on the Triumph 20 and we elevated that to an engineered flat knit. And so typically with knits, people have had some issues in the past where maybe they bag out, maybe they stretch or whatever. The flat knit construction is much more advanced than it was in the past. It holds its shape better. It's softer to the touch, softer to the foot, so it's not going to rub, cause blisters or anything like that. It really creates a nice premium aesthetic and delivers that ultra soft feel that we're looking for this consumer.
Awesome. So what is the date we're looking for a release on this one?
It's going to be summer of AW23.
All right. And do you know the price point?
It's going to stay at $160.
All right. Awesome. So this one you were telling me is vegan, but we also have another version of the Triumph that's coming out that's a little bit different.
Yeah, we have the Triumph RFG. The RFG stands for Run for Good, and this is part of our sustainable storyline that the brand offers. And when we think about sustainability, specifically with running shoes, they're single-use items. Like we talk about using your water bottle and consistently filling it up so you're not throwing away plastic water bottles all the time. And we want to make sure that we're delivering something for that consumer that is looking for that in their footwear. But we will not sacrifice performance, and that's something that is very near and dear towards our hearts. Is we build running shoes for runners that are going to do impact related workouts, and so we want to make sure that the foam, the upper, everything is performance ready for that consumer, and we were able to achieve that with the Triumph 21 RFG.
So what's going to be the experience between these two? Is there a little bit more resiliency in this Power Run versus this one? Like what is I'm going to experience if I make the sacrifice for being a little more sustainable?
I don't like to use the word sacrifice because you're not going to sacrifice. This midsole is just as energy efficient, it's just as resilient, it's just as compliant. The best thing about it is it's 55% bio-based. So it allows for that bio content to be integrated into the material and still deliver on those performance benefits. The only catch, if there is one, is you get a slight weight penalty. When you move to natural materials on the upper, it uses a cotton, a vegetable, plant-based dyes. That stuff adds a little bit more weight. And we want to make sure that, furthermore, that when cotton's natural fibers, they're built differently than synthetic fibers. And so they retain moisture differently. They expand and contract. As we talk about uppers bagging out and stretching, we want to make sure that that doesn't happen here. So it had to be engineered a little bit differently. So you do incur a little bit of a weight penalty. It's about half an ounce between the Triumph 21 and the Triumph 21 RFG. But really negligible when you think about what you're getting for
the especially
product.
For the runner that has a strong conscience about environmental issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, when's the date for this one?
This is going to follow suit with the Triumph 21, so it'll be summer of autumn winter 23. And then the price point is actually going to stay the same. So we don't feel that you need to pay a premium to make a conscious decision about your environmental sustainability choices. And so we want to make sure that if you do decide to trade in for this, you're getting all the features and benefits and you're not having to pay up for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad. And let's move on to the Kinvara that is not your Kinvara. So in the past, the Kinvara has been a very minimal shoe. It was one of the first shoes that came out that was like no superfluous extras. It was this lean machine for running, lightweight. And now I'm looking at this one. Tell me about this.
Well, let's start with the Kinvara, right? The Kinvara pioneered lightweight efficiency for the everyday runner. It gave runners that had the choice between a high cushion shoe or a racing flat, something in between that they could use every day. But the way that we did it back then and the way that we thought of efficiency was flexible materials, lightweight, energy efficiency in those regards. We've learned a lot since 2010. So the Kinvara Pro is taking the ideas of what Kinvara means and doing it in a professional way that elevates the product to modern shoemaking standards and really what we would make a modern day efficient Kinvara.
So what this might be if you were starting from scratch today versus back then. Now, before we get into the different materials, who do you think this runner is that's going to be excited about this shoe?
Yeah, it really spans the gauntlet. So when we first were starting this idea around this shoe, we were at the Boston Marathon, and it was just before TRE, and we see all these runners come out with the bladed super shoes, and we're thinking it's going to die off when the 3-hour guys come. It's going to die off when the 3:30, the 4-hour. It was ubiquitous across the entire grouping. Every runner had one on. That realized that carbon plate is utilized in every single opportunity. Every runner wants to feel fast. They want to have that performance edge, right? But we do know that there is science that says, like, hey, carbon plates are tuned specifically for this pace. They work for this type of runner. There's energy efficiencies that work with your own body, whether it's the shape, all these sorts of things. So we saw an opportunity there for the everyday runner. The other aspect is on that elite runner. We could fast forward a little bit, and I'm sitting with Jared Ward, one of our marathoners, and we're having this conversation about, like, how often do you use your carbon plate? He's like, well, there's this catch-22. I want to use it every single day because if I'm getting 5%, 10% more recovery, whatever the benefit is, am I able to get 5%, 10% more training out of my block? Is that going to make me better? And so there's this other aspect where this fits for our elite runner. It also fits for that everyday runner that really wants to experience the carbon plate. And it gave us this ability to democratize our innovation and take that carbon plate system and super foam that we use for the Power on PB and our S-curve shape and bring it into something that works unanimously for all runners.
Now, you mentioned carbon plate. There's no carbon plate in this, right?
Oh, there is.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, so this features a layered cushioning system. So we start out with a full-length bed or chassis, if you will, of our Power Run foam. We use our Power Run foam because if you are familiar with Kinvaras, it's a ground contact, very durable EVA that isn't going to degrade over a significant amount of runs. Next, we have a teardrop-shaped carbon fiber plate that is shaped and articulated to the same roll as what you'd find in our Endorphin Speed or Endorphin Pro, those types of products, so you get the benefits of the roll. And we use that carbon plate versus a nylon or TPU or plastic one because over time, if this is going to be more of an everyday training shoe,
it holds up better.
It holds up better. It's not going to flex out. It's not going to cause issues. The other aspect is because it's teardrop shape, it allows the runner that comes down on their heel or maybe strikes out in front of themselves a little bit more not to hit on a hard
surface.
surface and creates a little bit more comfort and allows it to sink and sort of adapt to their gait a little bit more and really gives it just a nice smooth transition.
All right, so the top layer of foam we didn't cover, is that the Power Run PB?
Exactly. So above the plate, we use the Power Run PB. That sandwiches between your foot and the carbon plate. And then we also have our 7mm comfort-based sock liner that we use in our rides and our Triumphs and guides. That's our Power Run Plus material. So you actually get all three of our foams in this shoe, which is pretty cool.
Well, what's great about this, though, is you were talking about the democratization of a marathon shoe or a marathon trainer. So is a race day shoe still, like, if I want to run in it and I'm running 330s, you would actually recommend something like this over?
We have done research that shows that there is a benefit for any sort of runner when they're running at a race shoe. They see a benefit or at a race pace, they see a benefit wearing a racing shoe. And when they're running at an everyday pace, they see a benefit in wearing the Carbon Pro.
I might want to go with the Kinvara Pro for marathon day, but this would be a shoe that would be great to train in going up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you have lightweight aspects too, right? The upper is more built up. It's more structured. It has collar foam. It has a counter. Things that you don't typically see in an Endorphin Speed or an Endorphin Pro or Elite.
I was going to say the Endorphin Speed is something that we see a lot of people using for a daily trainer. Is this maybe a better option for that consumer?
Yeah, when we first built the Speed, it is called the Speed, right? So it had this idea that it was built for a tempo type shoe, but it didn't mean that you couldn't wear it all the time. People loved it. We've since made it a little bit more stable, given the wings on the plate, and made the upper a little bit more friendly because we know that consumers are doing that. With that said, it's still not for everyone. There are some runners that will simply run in that shoe because it feels so good, but I guarantee when they put this on,
it's going to change.
It's going to change it, and they're going to probably want to run in this.
Well, one of our favorite shoes this year, and we gave it our best stability shoe of the year, was the Tempest. And it has the same kind of combo of the Power Run and the Power Run PB. So I'm excited to try this one.
Yeah, the Tempest is a great shoe, and it's really the only shoe in the industry right now that offers a super foam for a stability consumer.
Awesome.
And yeah, we're mixing things up, and it's been fun.
When's this one going to be available?
This is going to be available in August of 2023.
Awesome. And do we know the price?
It's going to be $180.
$180, okay. And weight?
Yeah, so it's a little bit heavier than what you'd expect from like a Endorphin Speed or a Pro. With those creature comforts added, it's coming in about 9 ounces.
Still pretty reasonable for a daily trainer that has that much to offer. So what's the stack of this one, Chad?
The stack height of this shoe is 42 millimeters in the heel and 34 in the forefoot with the 8mm drop. That
brings you to like that max cushion feel. I'm excited to try it on my feet and see what that feels like underfoot, especially for something you can use on a daily basis. All right, that's awesome. Anything else we need to know about that, Meg? Got it? All right, let's move on.